This is the second part of this mini video series. If you have not seen the first video, don't worry, you can still follow along and watch the first video after this one. If you like what you see, don't forget to show your support. Now back to the topic at hand. Have you ever been surprised by how much influence the first piece of information you receive can have on your decision making? This phenomenon, known as anchor bias, can cause us to form biased interpretations of information due to our cognitive bias. It is important to be aware of this bias and to make sure that all the facts are taken into account before coming to a conclusion. Even if we are aware of anchor bias, it can still have an effect on us. Therefore, it is essential to be conscious of this bias and to ensure that all the facts are taken into account before making a decision. We have all experienced the phenomenon of anchoring bias, where our decisions are heavily influenced by the initial information we encounter. Making hasty decisions without taking the time to evaluate all available data can be detrimental to our success. It is therefore essential that we invest the necessary time to ensure that the correct decisions are made. Let's take the time to make wise decisions, as this can be beneficial in the long run. However, we must recognize that this process can be time-consuming and may not always be feasible. We have all experienced the pernicious effects of authority bias. It can impede creativity and innovation, while simultaneously marginalizing those who lack power and influence. Deference to authority can be a major impediment to progress, as it can stifle the diversity of perspectives and ideas that are essential for growth. However, it can also be beneficial in certain contexts, as it can bring about structure and organization, and can ensure that tasks are completed expeditiously. It is important to recognize the potential benefits and drawbacks of authority bias, and to strive to create an environment that encourages open dialogue and collaboration. Have you ever felt like you knew more than you actually did? This phenomenon can have a negative impact on your decision-making. It is important to be aware of this bias and to make sure that you don't overestimate your abilities or skills. Although it can sometimes lead to regrettable decisions, it can also bring about positive outcomes. If you have faith in your capabilities, you may be more likely to take risks and explore new opportunities, which could potentially lead to success. On the other hand, if you overestimate your abilities, you may be more prone to mistakes or overlook important details. Therefore, it is essential to find a balance between confidence and caution when making decisions. We all have a tendency to jump to conclusions about a situation or person without having all the facts, a phenomenon known as perception bias. While this inclination can be beneficial in certain scenarios, such as when we need to make quick decisions without all the facts, it can also lead to erroneous conclusions if we fail to take the necessary time to evaluate all the facts. Therefore, it is important for us to be mindful of our preconceived notions and to ensure that our decisions are based on accurate data. We may not be aware of it, but our own preconceived notions and stereotypes about certain groups can be influencing our judgments and treatment of people, potentially leading to unequal treatment. Perception bias can be a major obstacle to workplace diversity and the success of those who are not part of the majority. We all have the potential to make mistakes when it comes to interpreting data, and illusory correlation is a perfect example of this. It is when we mistakenly assume a connection between two unrelated events that occur simultaneously. This phenomenon can be a valuable tool in recognizing our own biases and making more informed decisions. However, It is important to be aware of the potential for erroneous deductions and to be mindful of our own prejudices when evaluating data. Remember that correlation does not necessarily imply causation, and that just because two events occur together does not mean that one caused the other. By understanding this phenomenon, we can identify our own biases and make more informed decisions. Have you ever noticed yourself making connections between two seemingly unrelated things? This phenomenon can lead to incorrect conclusions and can be especially harmful to those who are not part of the majority. While facts and figures are essential, it is also important to remember that sometimes trusting our emotions can be beneficial. Not everything has to be based on cold, hard facts. Have you ever felt like you were being judged unfairly? This occurs when someone's opinion of you is based on their own subjective likes and dislikes, rather than on your actual accomplishments. This can be incredibly disheartening and can impede your professional growth. It is essential to recognize this prejudice and ensure that you are being evaluated equitably. We all have our own personal biases and preferences, and it is possible that these can lead to a distorted evaluation of your performance. However, it is also possible for someone to transcend their own prejudices and judge you fairly. Therefore, it is important to be aware of this prejudice and to guarantee that you are being evaluated equitably. There are many kinds of bias in this rich, diverse world, and categorizing them all can be difficult. It is no secret that biases can sway many decisions you make in your life. Being able to spot them and understanding how they can affect you can help you learn, think, and communicate more effectively. Have a great day, and if you liked this video, don't forget to show your support.